Hi, Laurel. How are you doing?
I'm excellent. How are you, Vanessa?
I'm very well. Welcome everyone to Watch Us Wednesdays. We're talking to marketing guru Miss Laura Lindsay, who's the founder of the New Media Marketing Group. Now, under the umbrella of the marketing mix that you supply for your clients, one of the services that you offer is social media marketing. And social media marketing has kind of come into the scene in the last decade or so, so it can be kind of a little bit overwhelming for some new business owners and for some individuals on a personal level, and those two things are becoming more and more combined as internet marketing evolves. So I just wanted to talk to you a little bit more specifically about how we can get less overwhelmed with the different social media sites, and what are some of the kind of ways that they can utilize it more effectively. So I wanted to ask you, first of all, what is the criteria, the most important criteria that you bring, that you suggest your clients when wanting to create a social media campaign infrastructure?
Great question. Okay, so most important criteria is know what your objective is.
Okay.
Know who your audience is, and from there you can be more selective because I find a lot of folks tend to put those things, like put it backwards. They'll pick their tool and then they'll decide what their market should be, etc. So if you know what your objective is, and you know what your audience is, then from there you will have a lot more success.
Okay, so know the audience. I'm actually taking notes, by the way, while we're doing this. And then I just wanted to ask too, how important is social media having like that great infrastructure? How important is that to driving traffic to your website? Does the website usually come first, then social media after, or the other way?
A healthy web marketing presence, or what looks successful to us in terms of metrics, I just did a post on this actually on using Google Analytics, is a marketing mix. So you want to see a certain amount of direct traffic, which is people just typing in your website address. You want to see a percentage of organic traffic, which is people typing in search terms into Google, like how do I buy new pants in California, or whatever they're typing in, and then a percentage of traffic from social media and a percentage of traffic from email marketing.
Okay.
So you want to have it all channels working for you.
Absolutely. And I was just going to say, how many social media outlets do you think are essential for like a new business owner to utilize? Like, say for example, is it important to have Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest and a blog and a website, or is there like perhaps a trifecta?
Such an awesome question, and so common. So that's a common misconception, that folks think that they have to be everywhere all at once, and it's not true. It's not true. What you need is to be in front of, like, on the social media platform that your target market is on.
Got it.
There's demographic information you can look at. So say, for example, you are looking to connect with like young, hipster, internet savvy folks, right? So statistics show that those people hang out on Instagram. Mm-hmm. They think they're over Facebook. They're over it. So demographic information is available for all of these sites. So I suggest that people look at it. So basically everyone's on Facebook, but unfortunately Facebook is set up now so that way if you have a business page, you actually can't get any exposure to the people who like your page unless you pay. So
is that part of like the boosting or whatever it is? Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. There was an official speech by Mark Zuckerberg end of January, basically saying that. Yeah, like you can't get any exposure to people who like your page unless you advertise. So it's a pay to play situation, so that can be a deterrent for a lot of people. The plus side of that is it can be fairly inexpensive. You can boost a post for like $6 a day, and you can really target it to particular demographics as well. So if you're after, like, for example, like men who are interested in automobiles, that's something that Facebook lets you target your ads towards. So demographics huge. Pinterest is where you can find sort of women in their 30s and 40s who have a high disposable income. So that's one way that you can sort of decide, okay, I'm not going to be on this site, I'm not going to be on that site. If your target market's not there, you don't have to worry about it.
Okay, so you don't have to add it in. Now, something that I think that people are universally on across the board, personally and professionally, it seems to be like this nice medium for there to be a melding, is, as you say, not so much Facebook because of the pay-to-play situation, but Twitter, Le Twitter. Can we talk specifically about Twitter and tweeting and all of that, and what you think is the best way to use Twitter as a personal and professional tool in terms of marketing for your business? How often should we be posting? What kind of content should they be posting? And anything is specifically like that you can render.
I would love to talk about Twitter. So yeah, it's a mystery for so many people because it's so simple. Everyone's like, what's the There's got to be more to this, right? And the truth of it is that there isn't. So a couple things that make Twitter awesome and different is that it's a not, you don't need permission to connect with people.
Okay.
So on Facebook, you and I both have to agree to be friends, right? On Twitter, you can go and follow Hulk Hogan or Madonna or whoever you want and engage with them without their permission. So this opens up the opportunity to engage with your target audience, movers and shakers in your industry, maybe celebrities, strategic alliances that you might want to cultivate, and you can just tweet at them. Now, I wouldn't recommend that you do that necessarily. There's a more subtle way to go about it. So one thing that really works in terms of getting in front of the folks that you want to get in front of is by replying back to people's tweets, retweeting their tweets, favoriting their tweets, and basically engaging with them. So one of the ways, so that's one thing, is to look at the influencers in your industry and sort of align yourself with those people, follow them, and then basically every time you pay attention to someone on social media, it's like you're putting $1 in their emotional bank account. So you always want to give to get, and then basically at some point there's going to be this tipping point where they're going to tweet you back, right? And then that's where that relationship starts to work, and that's where you start to get exposure to their audience.
So then it becomes kind of like a cross-promotional tool in that way. So you kind of have to sort of credit those people, and then eventually they'll credit back, and it's a way of sort of mutual reciprocity of exposure.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's one tactic. Another one is use of hashtags. So hashtags are basically like keywords. So it's just a word with a pound sign in front of it. So a great thing that people do is they search for the subject matter in terms of the problem that they solve. So sales, for example, or marketing, or Google Analytics, or pizza, or whatever it is, and you can search and you can directly reply to people who are asking questions about these things. And and you can also search people in your city. Typically, people use the area code, or not the area code, sorry, the airport code. So in Calgary, it's YYC, and so you can search people who are tweeting about Calgary. And that's, so basically what you're after is to like get lots of followers, lots of retweets, and that just generates more exposure. And then you can actually see the traffic back to your site from Twitter. So I post all my blog posts to Twitter, but Twitter's really fantastic because you can post like 1 million times a day and nobody's going to notice. It's fine. It's really fine. Whereas on Facebook, you can overwhelm people, right?
That's true. Well, essentially, I guess that's probably why the 140 characters comes into play like that. So it's close, concise, kind of hits you when you want. Sometimes I hear from people that you should be posting on Twitter 3 times a day, sometimes 6 times a day. In your marketing expertise, do you have any particular recommendation for how many times a day a business should be posting? And should they be changing the content at all, or should it just be repetition?
I like to post on Twitter 3 times a day. I do it early in the morning, middle of the day, and late at night. I schedule my posts through Hootsuite, which makes it a lot easier for folks in terms of time savings and whatnot. So I spend 1 day a month. I schedule all my posts for the month. And the posts that I schedule are the ones that I personally are my blog posts. So I'll shorten the link, I'll put in the link, I'll put in a couple keywords, and the intent is to provide value there. And then every single day I go on my phone and I look at my little Twitter notifications and I reply back to people, I retweet people, I follow more people, all these things. So it's basically, it's less about your broadcasting, how often you're doing that, and more about how much you're engaging. So yeah, there's just a little notification there and you just click and then everyone who retweets you, you say thank you. Everyone who follows you, you can either follow them back or thank them. And it's just about building that momentum type thing. So yeah, I know one of the members of our team has sold a case of wine on Twitter. So it's absolutely possible.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And I just wanted to say too, like, what do you think is the difference between a social media campaign that is thought about from the ground up and how that allows a business to be successful versus a social media campaign that is sort of more reactive? Like, do you think that a new business owner should kind of get in front of that plan as opposed to just sort of, you know, kind of doing what they can to stitch it together as their business develops?
I always recommend a plan. I always do. It's worth its weight in gold. Like, if you spend 3 hours planning, you'll save yourself like months and months of like flailing around and wasted energy. So again, I always go back to like that duct tape marketing book. Like, figure out who your target audience is, figure out why you're better than your customers, and even if it's just a thing like, for example, Enterprise Rent-A-Car, we pick you up. Like, that completely redefined them as a company in terms of how they're different from their competitors, right? And now, I don't know about you, but I try to book a car at Enterprise and I can't get through, they're booked, right? So definitely target audience and what makes you better. Once you have that information, then you can make decisions based on that. Okay, so is my target audience on this social network? What do they care about? Am I blogging about things they care about, or am I not, right? And what might they be talking about? What are their interests like? A lot of my customers like to golf, so it's good for me to know that because probably my future customers would like to golf as well. So I might want to hang out retweeting stuff about golf tips, you know, things like that. So otherwise what happens is people get discouraged and then they just stop doing it, or they're inconsistent, and that really harms your reputation.
Yeah.
I know this from bitter experience, because when I first got involved with social media, I created an account with every single platform out there, and I just like died a horrible death and did not follow through with posting every day, right? And it was harmful to my reputation. So what I usually recommend is start with one platform where you know your target audience is, build a community and network, and then once you're comfortable with that and you can actually handle doing that every single day, then add another network, right? And then add another, and that's how we've gotten to, or I've gotten to be able to post to like 5 different networks every single day. It's not because I started with 5, because it's overwhelming, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's absolutely key, though, because I think some people right out of the gates think that they have to, like you say, be everywhere at once. But I mean, very similar to cooking, you know, you start with one ingredient and you keep adding more and more and more and kind of see where you're at the end. And then I just wanted to just get your opinion on like how have you observed social media transform the marketing landscape since when you first got into the game versus now, and how is that becoming more beneficial to businesses?
Oh my gosh. Well, the big difference between social media marketing and like the traditional media sense is the fact that it's a reciprocal thing. So customers can now talk back. That's really fantastic because, you know, you can tell when someone's engaged or not, but it's also bad because they now have opinions and you can't control what they're saying, and it's not. So people can complain about you. So it's definitely contributing to businesses needing to be more transparent, which is fantastic. Also, too, the reach of these social media platforms, like it's free. Back in the day, you'd have to pay for radio ads, you'd have to pay for billboards, you'd have to pay for any kind of exposure. And now everyone's like, oh my God, I got to pay for Facebook posts? But it's free. So you can literally have, by using strategy and being clever and knowing your target audience, you can have as much reach as a large company with a huge PR budget. So it's really, really fantastic for business owners to be able to have their own broadcasting platforms from which they can interact without having to, pay for it. So that's absolutely huge. Yeah. And then it's a really huge bonus also for customer service. So Best Buy does a really great job on Twitter. That's basically where you can get all your tech support questions answered, because a lot of people, they don't like to pick up the phone now. They don't like really want to people. But so no problem, right? Yeah. So it's revolutionized customer service in terms of that instant response type thing. And it's easier to answer a tweet than necessarily go through a whole telephone conversation with somebody. So those are just 3 ways it's revolutionized business for entrepreneurs. It's pretty fantastic.
That is actually pretty fantastic. And also, too, I think in terms of like holding a business accountable, it's pretty fantastic as well, because there is that sort of immediacy of ramification, which maybe wasn't there before. So it kind of keeps everyone in check. So what I really got away from this was we don't have to do everything right out of the gates. And number 1, know your audience so you know where to put your time initially. And then build your foundation from there. Well, thank you. And that Twitter information was so valuable, like usual.
Yeah, no problem. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, and it was such a mystery for me in the beginning too. Like I just had to go and mess around with it for months and months until I realized, okay, this is it. That's all there is. This is all there is.
Totally. And it is so much about, like you say, and that's a good philosophy for life is it's all about giving, and then that's what you get back.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Laurel. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, and thanks for your wonderful marketing tips as usual. All right. Have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you next week.
Okay. Sounds great.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.